Famed poet Emily Dickinson has been brought back to life in the eponymous new Apple TV series that turns what we think we know about her on its head. I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor here at Gold Derby, with hairstylist Suzy Mazzarese-Allison. Suzy, this is not your run-of-the-mill bio about a famous literary and feminist icon, is it?
No, it's not.
So what was it about the series that you were really attracted to, that you wanted to work on it?
Well, first of all, I love doing period hair. I've done a lot of period shows. I love doing that work. Just the story and the script, when they sent me the script, it was really good and a little different because we do it so period hair-wise, but we also evolve into a little bit of contemporaryism to make the younger kids look a little bit more hip than, back in 1850. So we kind of like mix it up a little bit. So that was interesting towards me. Yeah.
The series takes place during Dickinson's era, obviously. So there is a lot of period work, but it's told in a more modern way, both in its look and its tone. So I was wondering, how did that aspect of the show change things up for you, or inform the way that you decided to tackle the various looks on the show?
Well, we started with the cast, like Hailee and Austin and Mr. and Mrs. Dickinson and Lavinia, the main characters of the show. I made them look a little bit more contemporary, a little bit more hip, still within the period, but a little bit more geared towards like the younger generation would go, oh, I would like that hairdo, you know what I mean, to make it more popular as if we'd see something right now. So we kept it in the period, like in the buns and the middle parts, but we softened it up a bit and edged it up a little bit to make it a little bit more contemporary. As far as the BG, I kept them completely period. So the background was in the period of 1850, and then the cast, we kind of beefed up a little bit more contemporary. So we got a great combination of both, Oh,
I see. Okay. So what research or groundwork did you have to undertake when signing on to the project to prepare for it? Because you've done lots of period work in the past, but this one would have been slightly different, yeah?
Yeah. I did a lot, like I normally do on most shows. I did pulled up stuff from my library. I have a huge library and lots of wig stocks and everything from the past, and looked up pictures of 1850s. And then I also took those buns and went to like a fashion magazine and kind of compared them to the two and kind of met in the middle. So I kind of looked at like high fashion stuff, and then I went to the period stuff and combined those two looks together, and we kind of came up with something interesting and good. And Elenia was very helpful in all that stuff of what she wanted as well. So the combination between all of us, the collaboration was quite awesome.
So a lot of people might not completely understand the daily challenges that the hair and makeup department come up with on various projects. So what specific challenges do you face in bringing shows like this to life?
Well, time is everything. It takes time. With a period show, everybody has a hairpiece on, so everything gets set before they come into the trailer. So basically it makes it a little bit quicker by using wigs and stuff, as opposed to having to do their own hair. In that period, we would have had to set them like on rags, and instead we use like hot rollers, contemporary stuff, to make it look that period. And just the challenging of, making everybody happy too. The actress, the producers, me, everybody. It was a collaboration in the costume department. And we all kind of came up with it all together too. It wasn't just, myself. My crew was great on it, so they helped a lot. So, yeah.
Yeah. How much do you think the 1850s actually resonates with what we're experiencing in our contemporary culture and politics? Did you take anything away from what the show was trying to say about today's world?
No, not really. Not so much on this show, I don't think. I don't really. Maybe I don't understand that question quite clearly, what you're asking me.
Like the show, it says a lot about like feminism and about teenage rebellion, and obviously Dickinson was a very famous figure that you were instrumental in kind of bringing to life aesthetically. And I'm wondering if on the set and in the pre-production, was there a lot of talk about the themes of the show and how that was going to be brought out like visually?
Yes, there was. Yes, definitely there was. Yes.
So the show doesn't shy away from being told from a female perspective as well, which is very empowering. The women on the show aren't necessarily likable. They're not passive. Was it refreshing to work on a project that was run by a woman, Elena Smith, and there seemed to be a lot of really strong and interesting women who were kind of behind the scenes and also on the camera?
Yes, it was. It was totally feminism in the show too. It was much more like, how it is. I guess you can compare that to nowadays. As far as the acting wise and stuff, as far as the hair, when you do the hair, I'm basically designing the hair. So I kind of kept that within that self. But as far as I would say yes to that. Yeah.
What look or shot, what look from the show can you pinpoint as being like what you're most proud of all the different looks that you had to come up with?
Well, there was one in particular that I liked a lot. It was in episode 3, which I'm going to enter for, I think that's the episode I entered for the Emmys. Whereas Jane, not Jane Krakowski, but Jane, the character Jane, we made her this fabulous bow, which is made in that period. They used to wear these bows made out of hair. And so in that dance scene sequel, you can see it from the back, but it's a really awesome bow that we made. And I love that. I love the look of I like everybody's. I love the part in that episode where Lavinia takes her braids and wraps them around Joe's neck, because that kind of means that she's available. So that was kind of an issue with the hair that we made in the scene to make it look like she was going after him, or and Austin's hair. Austin's hair was pretty awesome too. It took me about 45 minutes just to do his hair. It was set with rollers and curling irons, and the men's hair on the show was fun because it was long, and we made it a little bit more funky with big flips, and I'm sure you've seen it, so you saw what it was. And all that was a lot of work.
Was there much work to be done on Wiz Khalifa's character? Because I mean, that to me that's my favorite character. It's just so different and so unusual. The death character. I guess that. Yeah. What involvement did the hair department have to do in bringing that character to life? Because it was so different and so interesting.
Yeah, well, he kind of came as himself. He came with his own dreadlocks, which was kind of set aside, which was kind of cool because it really wasn't what they would have their hair in that time period. He kind of came done. The makeup department, I think, did a little bit of makeup on him, but as far as hair, we just watched him on set to make sure that his dreadlocks were going right. He didn't really sit in the chair with us too long. He just kind of came with his own crew. Yeah. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm looking back on your career. I noticed that you were nominated twice at the Emmys for your really interesting work on the Nick. Take us back to those 2 years in a row. Maybe the first time that you were ever nominated at the Emmys. What was going through your mind? How excited were you? Did it mean a lot to you?
It was very exciting, very, very exciting. We had so much fun. That was a great show. The whole hair department, makeup department, the whole crew on that show was very excited because we got nominated for a lot of stuff. And we all went together and we had so much fun. And that work was a lot of fun too. That was a great time period too. That the 1900s is a lot of fun. So very exciting. We had a blast. It was fun. We're very excited. All those things, yeah.
Right. What's exciting, even more exciting, I always ask this to people who are nominated more than once. You get nominated again the next year. And the question is the first one more exciting because it's the first time, or is the second one even better because it's like, we think you're so good, we want you to come back for another hit?
Yeah, I kind of think that the second one's kind of a little bit more exciting because the first one, you're a little bit like, what is this? And the first time you go there, you don't really know what to expect. And the second time you've done it, and so you kind of relax a little bit more, but it's just as exciting because it's really nice to be nominated 2 years in a row. That says something, so it's a compliment. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I love about the Emmys is they have always had separate categories for hairstyling. They have separate categories for prosthetic makeup and non-prosthetic makeup. The Oscars don't do that. They combine the makeup and hairstyling category. But what's really cool is I think a few years ago, they changed up the name of that category so it was hairstyling and makeup. And then this year, expanded it to 5 nominees. In your industry, in the hairstyling sector, was that something that you were all really happy to see, that award shows were giving hairstylists more recognition in the makeup world?
Absolutely, because it is 2 separate departments. it should be recognized on its own. So we've always wanted that to happen. So having them this year with the Oscars, doing the 5, at least it gave a little bit more people a chance to get to go to the Oscars and, get a little bit more sign of recognition. So we're on our way. Hopefully we can separate that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so completely different. Yes, I understand that it's a visual thing and it's on the face and the head, but it's so different. When you look back at your peers and the people that have inspired you in your career, what would you pinpoint as some really exceptional hairstyling that you look back on and think that's one of the best things I've ever seen?
That I've done or that somebody else has done? That
someone else has done that's inspired you or that you've really appreciated?
Oh, God. Well, I'm going to say Gone with the Wind because, that's one of my favorite movies. And that kind of has something to do with Dickinson a little bit, that time period. But, God, there's so many of them. I did The Beautiful Mind, did that movie, and we were nominated for an Oscar, but for that. But that was years ago. That was a nice piece, too. God, it's just so hard to say. There's so many of them. I did a lot of theater in my past, so I did probably 25 Broadway shows before I started doing movies. So there's so many of that I adore too. God, there's just so much of it that I maybe Dreamgirls. I'm gonna say Dreamgirls because I did the musical, the original musical, and I love the movie. I love the hair and makeup in that movie. God, there's just so many of them. It's hard to.
That's so interesting that you when you do some work, like for example on the stage, and then you get to see it being adapted in a different medium where you're not involved, but they would have at least checked back to see what did the original hair look like, and how are we going to adapt that? Is that jarring or interesting to see what someone else's take on the same subject matter is when you see it in a different medium?
It is. It's interesting because it's different, doing theater, everything's a little bit more larger, and then when you do film, you have to bring it down so everything looks better close up. So yeah, I also did the original Into the Woods too, and so it was fun to watch that movie too, being the adaptation that, which I didn't get to work on that, which I wish I could have, but I didn't. But
I guess you can't work on everything, but
no, I can't do them all. No.
So Apple has ordered a second season of Dickinson. Given what's going on in the world right now, it's probably hard to say. Have you already finished shooting that? Like, what can we look forward to for season 2?
Yeah, well, we did finish shooting that. But there's some new characters, lots of new characters. Probably 5 or there's a character named Shep, a character named Sam. They show a little bit more of Sue. Becomes much. Am I supposed to say this? I don't know if I'm supposed to say what the story's about. Okay. And
no spoilers, but yeah.
I don't know if I'm supposed to give it away. Sue comes into more money, so her hairstyle changed immensely for the second season, much more elaborate. So that was fun. Got to create her look was a different look for season 2.
Yeah.
And Hailee was always, just wonderful. Her looks were just, she's Emily Dickinson, so we kind of kept her in that character with the bun and then the hair down and nothing too extravagant except for when she was at the parties and stuff. So
It's cool to have someone like Hailee Steinfeld as the leading lady on a show because I mean there's probably a lot of scope to change up her look or to really kind of refine the hair and makeup for her, right?
Yeah, and I actually had I had a great crew. I hired a guy named Josh to take care of Hailee because especially in season 1 because she's in everything. And so running an apartment like this, I'm designing the hair. There's no time for me to spend as much time as she needed to be spent with. So I hired somebody to come in just for her, and he did a great job taking care of her. And so
that's cool. Well, we have plenty to look forward to for season 2 of Dickinson on Apple TV. Suzy, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay.
Now, everybody go to goldderby.com right now, make your predictions, and click subscribe to watch all of our great contender chats.